Martin, who's on the front row alongside Ian Locker. We wait for the signal to go. And indeed we're off. Guy Martin slow off the blocks as Conor Cummins, Chris Palmer and Martin Finnegan pull away. Cameron Donald is fourth. Guy Martin on bike for his fifth as they head towards Ballachagan. Guy Martin tucked in behind Finnegan as they knock down a couple of gears into the right turn at Ballachagan. No change in the top four as they round the bend, but it could change as we get on the gas. One of the quickest parts on the course, and Martin, has he got the power to get past Finnegan? He does. So Conor Cummins on the Yamaha leads, but Guy Martin's now looking to take second from Chris Palmer, which he does as the rest of the field follow. The approach to Ballabeg and the tight hairpin, and not many would have predicted Conor Cummins to be the first bike on the road, but he is. Then it's Martin, Palmer, Finnegan, Ian Locker now fifth, James McBride sixth, one place ahead of Paul Hunt. John Burrows eighth, ninth, somewhat surprisingly, is Cameron Donald. He's followed by Mark Parrott, and just look at the number of competitors taking part in this race. This is where they all want to be though, and it's Guy Martin in hot pursuit of race leader Conor Cummins. See how the picture vibrates, and that's due to the bumps, which are, well, pretty much a feature of every part of the Ballown circuit. But you really feel them on this, the approach to cross four ways. Back on the gas, but then shut off again for the tricky chicane at Church Bends. It's a right-left combination. Conor Cummins' knee just kisses the top of the curb. Now back on the power for one of, if not the fastest part of the course, down towards Great Mono, and the Honda of Guy Martin has the power to sweep past the Yamaha of Conor Cummins, and that's who we ride with now as Martin takes over at the front. So fourth at turn one, but now leading going towards the final turn on this opening lap. Guy Martin leads, Conor Cummins, we're at Castletown Corner, and a couple of seconds ahead of Chris Palmer in third, who's followed closely by Martin Finnegan. Ian Locker heads the contest for fifth. Lap one completed, and there is rain in the air. It's very light, but it is there, and no change in the order. Martin, Cummins, Palmer, Finnegan, and Locker in fifth. Looks as if he's made up some ground. Back with Conor Cummins, and he's lost touch a little with Guy Martin, and that's something he doesn't want to do. It's important he try and stay with him if he can. Well, this is a shame. The 2006 Southern 100 champion Cameron Donald pulls in. Now look at Ian Locker shaping up for a move on Martin Finnegan as the two-way battle for third now becomes a three-way fight, but nothing happens just yet with Palmer leading this trio. Conor Cummins is right back with Guy Martin as these two slog it out at the front. So if Guy Martin wants this win, it looks as if he'll really have a scrap on his hands. This is undoubtedly the trickiest part of this 4.25 mile long circuit. Through Ballawhetstone, then Williams, and we look at it courtesy of Conor Cummins. Everyone else files through Ballabeg, down the gearbox, hit the anchors and turn, but someone's gone down. The marshals are making their way up the road. Well, the rain is now falling. A 2-second lead for Guy Martin over Conor Cummins. That's the comfort zone the man from Lincolnshire has over the Manxman as they round Castletown Corner, and it's shaping into a two-way fight. And we can see from the view from Guy Martin's bike, it is raining. It's not a downpour, but it is wet, and these riders are on slick tyres. They start lap three, no gestures from the leading bike suggesting they want it stopped. Chris Palmer still has third from Finnegan fourth, and Locker fifth. Well, remarkably, still pulling back on the throttle is Guy Martin. Now it's either himself or race officials who'll stop this race. As race leader, if he thinks it's too dangerous to race, then his hand will go up, and Conor Cummins should follow suit. But both pairs of hands are working the handlebars, clutches and brake levers, so we are still racing. Palmer still third, Locker up to fourth past Finnegan. So one down, one to go for Locker as he looks to take third. Both himself and Palmer somewhat smaller physiques compared to the Irishman Finnegan. So the smaller guys doing all right on these big thousands. Still the rain falls, and still Guy Martin leads, and still the same gap back to Cummins in second, but they've pulled away from the fight for third. And here's another indication of the amount of rain which is now falling on this circuit. This is number 8, and that's Ian Locker who's gone down. The bike looks to have gone from him as he exited Ballabeg. First impressions, you'd have to say, lack of grit. as the track looks quite greasy. The rain continues to fall, yet he was embroiled in that battle with Palmer and Finnegan, so we'll have to wait and find out how he ended up on the ground. Thankfully, it doesn't look too bad. He is moving, but in some pain. Guy Martin still leads, and he still hasn't indicated he wants the race stopped. Still maintaining a fast pace despite the worsening conditions. Conor Cummins not far behind in second. Well, this is the view from Cummins Yamaha. The road doesn't look too bad, yet as we've seen from Guy Martin's onboard camera, it is quite damp. But they've both now completed 3 laps, and they're still decided to continue. No indication that they're unhappy, and it seems the officials are happy to let them continue themselves. Toward Ballachagan and out of Ballachagan, and you can see how it's a very fine rain. The sky is quite misty. Martin is head down behind the bubble along the approach to Iron Gate. Cummins a shade off the pace of Martin, but in these conditions, who can blame him? While Chris Palmer is still third, but Finnegan, and he may have been involved in the locker incident, has dropped back and is contesting fourth with Paul Hunt. So it's the Honda versus the Yamaha. Guy Martin into Ballabeg, and the Marshal still taking care of the aftermath of Ian Locker's fall, it would seem, as Martin tips it in. Oh, almost clips the Marshal. We're now with Conor Cummins as he slows for the hairpin, and though it looks fast, lap times are down. Martin and Cummins something like 5 or 6 seconds slower than the time set by Ian Locker in this race last year. Back with Cummins, almost identical times on laps 2 and 3, just 7/10 quicker third time around. Remarkable that he can be so precise on a track as long as this. And here's Guy Martin into Castletown Corner, followed by Conor Cummins, then should be followed by Chris Palmer. He is, as they nudge down the gears. Definitely not a knee down corner. In fact, not many parts of this circuit where you can even stick your knee out. Conor Cummins puts it on the back wheel as he screams down the Balance straight. So too Chris Palmer. Oh, riders off! Oh, that looks nasty. Flames everywhere, huge impact. Marshals very quickly respond, making their way to the rider, and that looks messy. The top 5 head through Iron Gate and on toward Ballabeg, unaware of course of what's happened behind them. Paul Hunt pulling out of the slipstream of Martin Finnegan and up into 4th place. So too Manxman in the top 4. Let's see again what happened. Look at the rider sliding along as he goes into the base of the straw bales. The bike, having hit the curb, has gone upwards, smashed against the wall and dropped back into the road. Well, the red flag is out, so the race has been stopped. Guy Martin and Conor Cummins pulling over at Cross Four Ways, which is around half a mile away from the accident at Stadium Bend. Well, there's no way through there at present. That will be the dust from the fire extinguishers. These are riders being held at Ballabeg and going nowhere.